Hello and welcome. Today we're going to make a pasta dough. We will be going over tips and tricks to make your pasta experience a little bit more smooth. Start by weighing out our flour and our eggs. Now the flour goes onto the table and I make a well with a glass, a deli, a bowl, whatever you have available. Now into that well we pour our eggs. Once the eggs get poured in, we start breaking and whisking and scrambling these eggs till they emulsify into one mixture. This is very important as we're introducing air into the eggs. This is going to make for a much lighter and more of an airy pasta dough. It also just makes the coming together process a lot more smooth. And that's exactly what we're trying to achieve here. So as we are whisking our eggs, we're slowly introducing more and more flour. We are just taking bits of the wall of flour, mixing it into the eggs as we're just going to start incorporating everything more and more. Now, another thing that you can do is you could simply just blend the eggs up and then pour them in, but I like to do it this way. Either way works though. This process can take a little bit of time if you want to do it correctly, but the more that you do this, the faster you will get. So don't be scared, make mistakes, but most importantly, just get some practice in. Really, the only way to get good at this is just to practice. Here, it's just really important to make sure that you're mixing the flour really well, right? We don't want big clumps of flour right now, as this is just going to make everything a lot easier. You'll notice we're slowly just taking our time, right? We're not in any rush right now. We're just taking a little bit of flour, incorporating it with the eggs, whisking, and that's it. You'll notice the egg mixture is becoming more jammy and thick as it was previously, and this is exactly what you want. This is where the dough is starting to become sticky, where the gluten is going to start developing more, and we're almost at that point where we can stop whisking. Now it's time to bring the dough together. We take the excess flour that's on the outside of this wall, and we start folding it over the wet parts of the pasta. Once everything comes together, now we start cutting the flour and the eggs. What this does is hydrate the flour, and this will be the final form before we turn it into a ball of pasta dough. All we're doing here is cutting the flour and folding it over. Cutting the flour, folding it over. And we're just repeating this step until everything is more wet than dry. Here we can see the dough starting to come together, and this is exactly where we want to be. We continue this process for a few more folds until we will be ready to go. And you know that you're ready to go once this dough is just more malleable, right? Once it's more of a clay-like texture and less of this floury mess. Here I'm just bringing everything together right before we start kneading this dough. Now after the cutting and the folding, we're in a place where we can start using our hands and balling everything up. We're just going to knead over and over. And it's a very simple motion. Bring it towards you, push away. Bring it towards you, push away. Bring it towards you, push away. Very simple. In this phase of the dough making, you might work up a sweat, but that's okay. It's totally worth it. Here we're introducing air, we're introducing love, and we're taking dead ingredients and bringing life to them. Now, in this step, I've wet my hands and I didn't dry them. I've used the excess water from my hands to finish this dough. This will allow everything to kind of hydrate a little bit more and come together a lot smoother. This is an underrated step that I think is very crucial. Now, everyone's going to be a little bit different. I live in Arizona. It's very dry. If you live in more of a humid or a wet state, this step might not be something you need to do, but the air does affect how our pasta doughs come out. So that brings me to another point. We want to make sure our fans in our house are off, our windows are closed, as all these factors affect the final product. After kneading, we're going to take a look at our dough, and we want it to look like cellulite. If it looks like cellulite, we're in a good spot. This is where the dough can rest and it can smooth itself out with just a little bit of time. So what I'll do is I'll turn the dough into a disc, and then I'll check for the bounce back. This disc is a great shape to store your dough in. Now, I use this technique where we fold the plastic over, and this helps keep it extremely airtight, and it also just provides a nice seal. This is a technique of wrapping your pasta dough that I've seen a lot of my idols use, and I find it to be really helpful. As we've done all this hard work to bring life to this dough and get it to this point where it's at now. So it's very important to take care of it in this form so that we can make the best pasta going forward. Pasta is similar to baking in certain ways where you can do everything right in the beginning, but in the final push is where you can make a mistake that ruins everything. So we want to be careful. We want to take our time. And after letting it rest for a little bit, we're going to open it up. We're going to cut it open. We're going to check it out. I appreciate all of you sticking through watching this video. If you want more content, follow me on Instagram and subscribe to the channel. Now, I like my pasta dough to have these little air bubbles, and that's exactly what you're looking for. So I hope this helps. Give it a try.